Hey everybody, it's Felisa, and I'm so excited that I have my sister friend here, Kim. And we were talking, we were talking back and forth in chat on Facebook. And, we were talking about relationships, and we always talk about relationships and, talk about our disappointment coupled with our hope still. And she mentioned something that piqued my interest. And I'm sure that anybody that knows me and knows any of my previous vlogs, y'all can be like, girl, but whatever. I wanted to have the conversation with her because it's good to get a different perspective and really understand what is going on in these dating streets, especially for those of us who are over 50. There are just certain things that we just don't expect. We just don't expect it. So I'm going to defer to her. This is going to be, yes, on ghosting. Yes, y'all old men are still doing stuff like this. So I want to hear her story, and then we're going to chime in with some commentary. So let's chop it up. Hey, Kim.
Hey.
It's so good to have you.
Thank you. This is actually a term that I was not familiar with. Um, Probably not until about 2 or 3 years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
put it together. I didn't think that, and I started hearing this term all over the place. So people were like, "Oh, ghosting, ghosting." I was like, "What the hell?" In my head, I'm thinking, "Are we watching Casper? Like, what is that? I don't understand this whole ghosting term." So what it is for those that may not understand fully what it is when you are dealing with a person and then they all of a sudden just stop all lines of communication. This could come in the form of, if you are connected through social media, they'll block you. If
Mm-hmm.
they'll block you on their cell phones. They won't return phone calls. They won't return text messages. None of the above. All of it will just cease and desist.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunate for me, I've had this happen to me twice in the last 2 years. Both instances, it wasn't a it started as a dating thing, and then once our relationships escalated to a level that I was like, yes, I want to be with this person. And when they said, hey, do you want to be exclusive, I was like, yes, because I really like you and I really want to do this. And that's when the communication started fading away, to the point of it just left.
Mm-hmm.
First time it happened, we were together for a little while, and this gentleman, he was just such a sweetheart, and I loved him to death. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so nice. And I'm like, wasn't on the whole you're the one and lost in the romance thing. It was just really a great relationship. We had a lot of fun together, and he started working more overtime, and I was like, okay, get your hustle on. I understand. I got work, I got kids, and you are working overtime, and he's working 60, 70 hour weeks. But we were still staying in constant communication. So he would text me while he was at work. He would call me from his job, and we would talk for hours. But then when that slowly started dissipating, I was like, okay, well, what's going on? Hey, I haven't heard from you. Oh, I got home and went straight to sleep. Oh, okay. Understandable. You just worked a 14-hour shift. No problem. Call me when you get up. That would be another 3 days before I heard from him. Okay, this is not this level of communication that I was accustomed to. So, but I understood you were picking up extra shifts nonstop. Okay, no problem. But then understanding stopped when every time I was not getting a reply. Every time I called, I was getting routed straight to voicemail. And then after a week of not hearing from them, I'm inboxing him on Facebook like, hey, I'm just checking on you, see if are you okay? What's going on? No responses. And you know how in your messenger you can see if they looked and read your message. So
Mm-hmm.
the little face icon will drop down and they'll tell you the message was read. Never was even looked at. And at that point, after 2 weeks, I was like, I feel like the biggest idiot in the world. Not only did I commit my heart, and the relationship was a physical relationship, and I cut all, like, I was dedicated and devoted, and then to just be given nothing after that, I was just like outdone. So I sent a final message and said, I don't know what I did or what happened. I hope that everything is okay with you. I hope you're not like in a ditch somewhere, like mommy, and you kicks in like, is he in a ditch? Are you dead? Like, are you okay? What's going on? And I was devastated. And I was just like, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like, who does this at the,
Mm-hmm.
and that was 2 years ago. So I was 44.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he was older than me, and I sat there and was like, no, seriously, who does this? Like, why is this a thing?
Why is it okay? Like,
Why is this
it's the thing.
okay? I
Right.
did not hear back from him. So I just chalked it up as a, okay, it is what I got ghosted for the first time. Oh my God. And I did not hear from him until randomly one night that summer. We're talking 7 months later, 6, 7 months later. I heard he texted me and was like, just wanted to see if you were okay. Let's It's been 7 months, Negro, since I've heard from you.
Right.
And I responded, I am doing well. Yes. I hope you're okay. I hope you figured out whatever you got going on. He commenced to explaining he deals with depression on different levels. And these are things that were never disclosed to me in the beginning.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay, that's all fine and good. But my educational background, I have a degree in psychology, so I could have understood fully what you were going through. Nope, nope, didn't matter. I said, okay, good to know. Mind you, in that process of me getting ghosted, his birthday came up a month or so after, and he went on his trip that I knew he was going to take for his birthday, and I noticed somebody else went with him.
Oh.
They're friends.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're friends. I've known this for a while, and I'm like, okay, you can communicate with your friend, but you couldn't communicate with me, the person
Mm-hmm.
you claim to have loved. That's problematic. The most recent incident happened, what month is this? December? In October. This October, actually. A gentleman I was seeing again, really, really digging him, had a great connection. Went through the whole elaborate actual asking me to be his woman. Like, it was so adorably cute. I was just like, oh my God, this is so cute. You made that moment when he made you feel like a schoolgirl.
Mm-hmm.
Get that butts in your stomach, and you're just like, oh my gosh. The whole shebang, and it was adorable. And it was on Sweetest Day. So it was just like, oh, this is cute. Oh my gosh.
Let
Yeah.
me pause here for anybody that's not in Michigan or Ohio. Sweetest
Oh yeah. Sweetest Day.
Sweetest Day occurs in October for
Yes.
those of us in the mitten and in that other state, Ohio. And it's kind of like the fall equivalent of Valentine's Day. Go ahead, sis. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So and put this fun fact. No, it is not a man's holiday.
It is definitely not.
Let us
Anyway.
establish that now. It was created by a candy company who had an excess amount of chocolate one year. So they decided to be generous and said, let's create this. And it was created, I think, in Ohio. It was not started in Michigan. Um, to give out, create an opportunity to give out sweets to those who are less fortunate. So they gave it to the elderly and orphans.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm full of useless information.
So am I, but I didn't have that one. But thank you.
I have done my research on Sweetest Day. So anyway, so we had a great time. I said yes, and it was great. And then literally the next day is when the communication started getting funky. And I chalked it up because I knew, again, being understanding, he he works construction. He was working a lot of long hours. And often when he got home, it was like shower and pass out because
Mhm.
hard work and hard labor is not, I'm okay with that. And supported his efforts in his job and his career. And I was like, yeah, no problem. But then when the communication started getting funky, I was like, okay, instantly I'm like, am I about to be going through this again? No, no, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
You be knowing. You
And
be
sure
knowing.
enough, every date got canceled for a week. I would text or call and it would be ignored for several days. Whereas before it was, we were talking on a daily basis, and now I'm not hearing anything, to the point I literally asked, okay, what's going on? You owe me an explanation. I got a goofy, joking response of a meme of Lucille Ball and Ricky Ricardo talking about, Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment, I was like, honey, this is not the time to joke with me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being dead serious. You have to explain yourself, because one minute we are so devoted and everything, and then the next minute you have ignored and completely almost ducked out of my life in a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Please explain. I'll talk to you. I'll call you tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. And that was on a Wednesday. By Saturday, I was like, you gotta be kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, I was like, this is ridiculous. And I have friends tell me, do not text him, don't call him. The ball is in his court. You put it out there, he's got to respond. I got no response or nothing after that for several weeks. And I finally sent a message, because I was like, one thing I'm very particular about is you will sit and hold this inside of you. Like, what did I do wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Was it because I'm not the whatever presence that they want or desire? Is my hair too curly? Did I not wear makeup enough? Or did I gain too much weight? Or we will dissect and put it all on us, when the reality is not it has nothing to do with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I took all that energy and I poured it out into a text message. And I, for the first time, actually said, I don't know what your problem is. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. I wish you all the best of luck. I hope you have and find whatever it is that you're looking for. How you treated this situation was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Did something wrong and I offended you in any kind of way, I apologize. But if I did not, good luck with your life. And I genuinely meant that sincerely. And after I hit send, I got, well, actually prior to me sending that text, I got a text message from him saying, this was not how I expected things to go. Neither did I. Do you want to talk about it? Oh yeah, maybe tomorrow. Okay, back with the maybe tomorrow crap.
Mm-hmm.
And my response to that was, I sent a little thumbs up thingy, literally. After 3 days of not hearing anything after the maybe tomorrow, that's when I sent my final text. And I don't believe in blocking people unless you really severely do me some serious damage wrong. I'm not going to block you. We are still connected on social media, because you know what? What's the point?
Mm-hmm.
You a friend. I still consider you a nice person, just not nice enough or right enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
I left it at that. But after the after fact of being ghosted, you will look at people a little bit differently, and like, okay, when you go into venturing into relationships, you have your guard up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
You're concerned, like, is this going to last past a week? Is this going to last when things start getting good? Is the bottom going to fall out and I'm not going to hear anything, And then, like I said, we internalize all the.
I was just going to say, just to go back to what you were saying, that whole internalization is like, that is the recording in your head that you can never shut off. And it takes a vast amount of emotional heavy lifting to learn how to control that. And it will consume you. And, even now, I'm 2 years later out of a relationship in which I was ghosted for the second time by the same person. So I was bitten once, and then I forgave, and then I was bitten again. And it, like, the idea of fool, how would you, like, what possessed you to, but I loved this man. I don't know how else to say it. I said it and I was very clear about that. And when I tell you that, I begged him that leading up into this last thing, I was like, please don't do that to me again. Please just have a conversation with me. I would have been open to whatever, even if it's a tough conversation. If we have a relationship, I don't understand why we can't have these tough conversations. And the one conclusion that I've always come back to is that people who do this are cowards. People who do this are extremely narcissistic in their behavior. I try not to label narcissists because that's a whole DSM-5 conversation,
Yes,
and I'm
it
just
is.
not trying to have it. But there are certain elements of narcissism that
Yes.
are damaging, and they are toxic, and they are hurtful. And so for me, when I look at that and having taken everything that he didn't want to deal with, having it dumped on me, and now
Mm-hmm.
I have to deal with it by myself, and I don't have anybody to, like shoulder the responsibility with. All I can do is internalize that. And
Yeah,
I feel like that's by design. Like,
it is.
why would you leave somebody with that baggage? Why would you leave someone in a worse state than what you found them? Why would you just go on married with your life because it no longer benefits you?
It's a
Even if
form
you're,
of emotional dumping.
it is, but it's
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 a
a,
form
it's
of
a
that.
form of emotional abuse too, because you you can be fired from your job without cause, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that if you push that, they have to respond to you. They have to
Yes.
give you some
Yes.
kind of whatever for the separation. Being fired from your job as your girlfriend or whatever, it's just baffling to me that you get to walk off into the sunset and you don't feel like you owe anybody that you left behind any kind of rationale. And I think that the thing that couples with ghosting that is so dangerous is this idea and this perpetuation that, oh, they don't owe you nothing. Don't nobody owe you nothing. If you're not married, they don't owe you nothing. Even when you married, like they have the right to do whatever. I'm like, dude, not at
Mm-mm.
the expense of somebody else. I can't get on that train. I'm not
See,
really going to get on board with that. I'm just
part
not.
of that is it's not just the emotional dumping. This is when these are people that have not um, developed fully in their critical thinking skills on how they deal with conflict management,
Hmm.
on how they deal with um, resolution or closure for that matter.
And can we mention just terrible EI?
A
Like,
lot of time
you
it
have
is.
no emotional
It
intelligence
is.
at
They have
all.
no emotional intelligence or very limited emotional intelligence.
Hmm.
This could be manifested from past previous hurt.
Hmm.
This is some people, this is a form of their own barricades and prevention. So I'm feeling too good, something's going to go wrong, I need to disappear.
Hmm.
This can be tied into mental health issues as well. So from depression to asocial disorders to a lot of different behavioral
Sociopaths? No, I'm just kidding.
sociopath, yeah, yeah, narcissism as well. But these are all often, especially, I really say with the men, but a lot of people in general, these are often
Yeah.
undiagnosed narcissisms and psychosis is that they don't even know that they may have been dealing with depression.
Mhm.
Probably, in my opinion, the biggest one because a lot of people don't even know when they are clinically depressed.
Correct.
No, they don't feel right.
Right.
I don't know. They go through the motions of life, but they don't really know how it affects others around them. So when you're dealing with situations like this, again, like you said, naturally we try to figure out
Hmm.
what went wrong and why didn't we, and it got to a point where I did nothing wrong. I'm awesome. I
And
have
I want to be
that because
clear. I
if
want
you
to
know
be.
you gave your best, you gave your best effort, you did everything you said you were going to do in terms of contractually being in this relationship. I was present. I gave my effort.
And I think, and the only point that I want to illustrate here is, we do try to show up and offer our best selves. And
Mhm.
of course, in retrospect, I think hindsight is 2020. I'm always going to say there are things that I could have done differently in that relationship. There are ways that I could have responded differently, but I would have liked to have had the conversation, or the ability to have the conversation, or even saying, you know what, you're a nice person, this is not working. But I think
Mhm.
that the danger for someone like me, or someone who has a background like I do, which is rife with abandonment, rejection issues,
Mhm.
to pull the trigger on someone like that, knowingly, knowing what they've been through and knowing how difficult it's been to overcome just even some of those childhood demons for themselves,
Mhm.
to perpetuate that on someone else, to me is a special form of heinous. And it's like, it should be high crime, it should be treason, but
It
it's.
should. but sadly,
But it's
I
not.
I guess I'm like forever the optimist.
Yes, you are.
I am forever the optimist. I look at these as wounded people. These are
Hmm.
wounded people that never learned how to cope with their pain.
Hmm.
And this is a form of that. It could be they don't better, for lack of a better word, when it happens, and women have done this as well.
Yes, they have. Let's be clear
Well,
for our audience that will
this
come
is
from me.
not a
This is
just a
not a
male
gender
only
specific
type of
thing.
situation.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know some women who have done this as well.
So do I, and they advocate for it.
Yes,
They feel
it's
like
an avoidant behavior,
it
and
is.
actually, like you said, having those hard conversations that I'm not comfortable with, or I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I'm just gonna just go ahead and block him real quick. I don't want to talk
Hmm.
anymore.
Hmm.
Just tell them why. If
Exactly.
start talking to someone and you just like, oh, this is great, and you give them all your attention, and then you see the red flags. Let's just say you see the red flags and you know this is not the person for you.
Hmm.
Then tell them.
Hmm.
Give them the closure they need to know you're a great person. You're just not great for me.
And help them maintain their sense of dignity and
Exactly.
their sense of self and self-worth. And we can make Cat Williams jokes all day, oh, it's self-esteem. How you gonna let somebody take away your self? But the idea that this eats at the foundation of who you are, it corrodes your confidence, it corrodes your ability to be able to see yourself in another relationship, because like you said before,
Mhm.
your worry is, can you be trusted? Can you can I
You're
get
like,
you?
I like you, but like,
I don't know. I'm not really sure. Do you have any references? Because I need to
but
see some references
I
for this.
need I need some facts checking, and but this is also why at this age dating becomes so much harder, because
Mhm.
we are dealing with a lot of people who are wounded and damaged and never got the healing that they needed,
Yep.
them attempting to go out on a date again.
Yep.
I recently just told a friend of mine, I said, you need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh out of a relationship, I highly recommend you do not try to date for a while, because you wear that pain right here, all on your sleeve. And in conversation, it's she used to. Oh, dude, no. Mm-mm.
But I mean, I think that people, first of all, there's this saying, of course, I'm sure that you've seen it, like Black women are not rehabilitation centers for broken Black men. Like I see that all over the place, but I honestly feel like, no, seriously, I feel like that is not, it's not gender specific.
It is not. It is not.
Relationships are not rehabilitation centers, period.
Mm-hmm.
If you have copious amounts of emotional baggage that you are hauling from person to person, and you're expecting for them to unpack that for you, and the minute that they don't unpack it, either in the time that you need it or the way that you need it, or they don't fold it and put it away the way that you think that
Mm-hmm.
they should, you are off to the next person who
Yes.
will. It's so important for you to stop
Yes.
and at least give yourself some space and say, you know what, I need to have some aloneness. I need to work on this, and I need to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what it is that is dry, because now it's not even a desire, it's a compulsion, because the deafening voices that you hear when you're
Mm-hmm.
alone in the dark is silence when you have your attention
Ooh,
on someone else. And so
child.
you gotta pay attention to those voices. You can't keep telling them to shut up. You can't keep, trying to act like they're not speaking, because now you're gonna force somebody else to listen to a voice that they ain't never heard before. And they're like trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out, what exactly are we doing with this? I never will forget. I mean, one of the things that I replay often with my previous relationship was, he experienced a couple of deaths really close in succession.
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of one of these people that was his best friend that died. And we had been together like off and on over 10 years by this point. I'd never heard this person's name. So I thought that that was a little bizarre, but whatever, my bad. So this person died, and then his boss, for lack of a better term, also passed away, but he had disparaged the man more times than I have fingers and toes. So his
Oh my
his response to it was baffling to
God.
me. And so, admittedly, my response when I'm wounded and I'm hurt, I don't like a lot of coddling. Like, I need to have headspace to process that.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I'm ready, I'll come and I'll talk. So,
Right.
I was trying to tease out, what is it that you need from me? How can I respond? I'm here if you need me. Do you want to talk? Like, what is it that you need from me? And so he would half respond, not respond. And so I just kind of started to pull back, because I thought, okay, maybe he just needs some space, because I don't know what to do until you tell me. This is not into, like, I'm like
Mm-hmm.
trying to feel you out. And I remember having a conversation with me, and he was like, I just want you to be a girlfriend. I don't know what
What does
that
that
means to
mean?
you right now. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, help me. Like, help me help you. And so, it was just really kind of this weird, like almost like psychic reading that I was supposed to do. And I felt badly because I didn't know in that space what to do. But conversely, when I had deaths and when I had loss, he was pretty much like, well, it's going to be okay. You'll be fine. And I'm like, okay. So what was expected from me was not what I was ever given. So it was hard to be able to kind of judge like what you need
Mm-hmm.
in this media space. And so that's why, when you're trying to sift how you feel presently through 20 years of
Mm-hmm.
garbage and trauma and emotional stuff that you've been carrying around, the message is very muddied, and it's very difficult for your partner to understand how to meet you where you are. So I agree completely with that.
Mm-hmm.
Work on your issues such as they are. Nothing wrong with counseling, nothing wrong with self introspection, and figure out, what it is that you need to be doing in this space.
But one thing I want you touched on that I want a lot of people to be very clear about. Taking that time to be alone
Mhm.
does not mean that you are lonely.
Preach, sis.
And we say that out loud again. Taking that
Preach, sis.
time to be alone does not mean that you are lonely. That
Mhm.
your your that doesn't mean that you won't hang out with your friends. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you may actually go on a date or two. Does not mean that you are completely off the market. It just means that you are taking a moment in your life to do some internal retrospect. You are sitting and doing what you do to make you think and to dissect and write and journaling or meeting with a counselor or whatever it takes for you. I personally love watching Hallmark Christmas movies, but they make me think about
Mhm.
relationships and past experiences. And I watch the magic and the twinkle lights and everything that happens on a movie come together. And it goes, that one guy, I remember him. Oh, he used to love this. And I start thinking and then go, where did that go wrong? How did that go wrong?
Mhm.
What did I do? How could I be different? I don't like who I became when I was with this person. Why did
Mhm.
I like that? My wheels will start turning. And when my wheels are turning, that is when I'm able to go, I get my aha moments. And yeah, yeah, I get
Those are called relationship autopsies, and
yes.
we need to perform them regularly. And we have to do them
Yes.
through a lens of not being biased. And,
Yes.
it's fine for us to believe, like, I think I'm the best thing going. I do, but
And
I'm
sliced
flawed.
bread.
Hey, but I'm flawed.
Yes.
Not fatally so, but I'm flawed. I'm opinionated. I'm strong-minded. I talk back, as the people say. I'm not always, the most sensitive, even though I'm a big mush ball. Sometimes I miss it. There are
Mm-hmm.
like a whole list of stuff that I can go through. And so I have to always, make sure that when I did not show up as my best self in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
what did that look like for my partner? How did that feel for my
Mm-hmm.
partner? And if I did something to cause that for my partner, I want to be sensitive to that so that I don't
Yes.
take that into the next relationship and kill that. You know what I mean? At least from his
Mm-hmm.
perspective. So I think that, you looking at the Hallmark movies, or, like me, I journal all the time. And I think, just being able to clearly outline succinctly, this was the relationship, this was the nature of the relationship, realizing that it's going to be from your POV, because that's all you have.
That's all you
Um,
have.
that's all you have. So, whatever your point of
It's
view
not
is.
always all you have. If you have the courage and if you really want to know, and you still have those connections, go back and ask.
Yeah, I don't. So
I have gone back and said, hey, because a lot of the relationships, or actually majority of the relationships of mine that ended, I'm still actually really cool with those people. Most of them are married and life has moved on, and that was 20 years ago, and we were kids or whatever the case may be. But I have at times gone back and said, hey, kind of curious, why did we break up in your opinion? I want to hear your version. So I actually use this as a dating question as well. When I'm If I'm going out or trying to get to know someone, I ask the question of your last relationship, because instantly at some point somebody's going to tell you about your last relationship.
Mhm.
If I were to ask them, what would be the reason they told me you guys broke up? And you'd be surprised how many times when you start to think about it, it puts you out of your space and you have to give me what they thought.
I
And
think that
that creates an aha moment in that person a lot of times, because they don't even realize, because, oh, she cheated or he cheated or whatever. That's the first trigger. But I asked this of a friend of mine recently, and I watched their light bulb turn on when I asked that question.
mhm.
I said, what would she say the reason why, you know, the relationship ended? And the answer was, after 7 years, I didn't want to get married. And I said, did she want to be married? Did you know that from the beginning? Yeah, I probably did. And
That's honest.
then I saw the eyes roll back in the back of the head. He went, and I'm like, there's your aha moment. You
So for my audience who thinks that I can't, I can't. First of all, I have three, literally three. I'm 51 years old. I kid you not. I have three relationships in my whole entire life. One was in high school. I did reconnect with him. I still consider him to be a good guy. We had some really good conversation. And the last time that I talked to him, he said that I was the best girlfriend that he ever had, which was sweet.
That's sweet.
I had a marriage that ended. Yeah, it just ended.
It ended.
I had some things to say about him. He definitely has some things to say about me. As I've gotten older, I've been able to kind of put that in, some context. And so my response is always that he was not a good husband for me, but I picked him. And so I take responsibility for that. I take responsibility for, my efforts in a relationship or lack thereof. That's the best that I can do because we really don't talk. And then this last relationship, he blocked me and I can't talk to him. So I kind of have to that's why I said that it's my POV because, except for Kenny, my first boyfriend, like I don't have relationships like that. I never have.
Mhm.
I don't really have any other rationale other than it has not been because I haven't dated, but to actually take it to that level and be committed to one person and say that this is my guy, this is, my person. I had a
But
husband
even
and
in
a
dating,
boyfriend.
I think that's something that people have I think dating is a form of a relationship. You're making an emotional connection. Yes. So if you are dating, and unless it's just a one date,
It was.
if it's just the one date and y'all like,
The one day.
yeah, that's something different. But if it's someone that you are hanging out with or spending time with over, even if it's over like 3 weeks, a month, or 2 months, that's a form of a relationship. You have created a bond in a sense that you like being around this person. You
Now
talk.
I agree with that. I've not had that. I tend to be very harsh on my dates. So, but I do tell them,
No, what
I
is you doing?
I do tell them, that yeah, I'm not feeling this. And fortunately for me, these men that I've gone out with that have expressed an interest in me, I've maintained them as friends. And I
Mhm.
have really good relationships with them now. Just the dating thing was just not gonna work out. And I'm not about wasting anybody's time.
But you
I'm
should go
too
with that.
old.
Go with your gut. Don't try to force anything.
Yeah, I'm too old. And
Yeah.
I would not
You
want
are
that done to
not too
me.
old, darling. No. You're never too old to
I'm
want.
too old for that. I'm too old to keep going out with somebody to see. It just let's
Yeah.
see,
See, here's the thing about that.
girl.
And I'm gonna say this, and I say this with love. No, you're not. No,
Uh-uh.
yes, no, let it go. No,
Okay, I'm gonna try it.
if you go on one date and you have a good time talking or whatever, what do you do when you get home? Because we all debrief. Let's be very clear. You debrief the date.
Yes.
Home, you call your girl. Sometimes you don't get out the restaurant fast enough to call your girl. Or you texting in the bathroom like, girl, let me tell you what this. Yeah, we all debrief the dates.
Yes, we do.
But in your debrief, are you looking at the positives or just the negatives?
I look at both. The last date that I had, I thought we had some really good synergy. We had really good conversation. I was feeling really positive
Mm-hmm.
until he looked at me and looked at my chest and said, "Nice tits." So that so my response was, "Excuse me, what?" He said, "Nice tits." He said it again, like he didn't even try to clean it up. I gave him a warning shot because my excuse me. Now, if you get that from me, that's kind of like I'm gonna need for you
Child,
to
we
clean
don't
that
have to have a whole nother segment on how we talk to women. Because did I not just have this conversation with a friend? I considered this person a friend. I had considered this person for dating purposes, but then I was like, you got too many red flags for me. But when you cool people, I like kicking it with you. We friends. And I kind of told them, you know what? I don't know if you realize this, but you talk to me like I'm a dude.
Ooh.
Was like, what do you mean? I said, the level of crass that comes out of your mouth. I laugh and joke and I cuss like a sailor at times.
But I'm a girl.
But there is still a line that I said, when we're talking, sometimes you straight goes 110% straight locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. And
I'm not gonna be able to can.
I let it go a couple times and I was like, clearly I'm gonna have to address this issue.
Mm-hmm.
Not a guy. I don't like to be talked to in that manner. I don't like hearing it all the time. I get that, but I think sometimes there's some lines that men don't really realize they cross and nobody has ever told them. But
He should have read the room because my whole countenance changed. I know it did. Like in that,
the
I,
whole and the problem is then we become the prude and the bougie and whatever
yes.
if we correct that behavior. But baby, no, I need you to understand. Do you talk to your mama with that mouth?
Don't
Like,
do that.
don't do that. That's not, it's not attractive. It's not, if you want to compliment me on all that is this, you look very beautiful tonight. You could have left it at that.
Mm-hmm. I did not have to know that you
Now,
was
if you
thinking about my
wanted to
breasts.
segue that into something on a sexual level, you could have used a better word or a choice phrase or something to that capacity. But you should have gauged me enough at this point to know that that ship was not going to sail.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I kind of don't blame you on that one.
Thank you. But I
I,
mean, I hear what you're saying, and I don't want to make this too long. So I'm going to give you the final word. I just want to interject that I do hear what you're saying. I
mm-hmm.
do take that to heart. I do think that, I can be a little difficult when it comes to my automatic assessment. I will work very hard to bring that back. Sorry about my dog.
Oh, there's
I will work very hard to bring that back and dial it back a little bit. But I want to give you the final say. Give my ladies and my men some tips and some advice before we wrap.
first and foremost. I can't stress this enough. Ghosting is not about you. It has nothing to do with you. Please don't internalize. Don't put that on yourself. Put it out in the universe and say, you know what, that was just not meant to be. I started chalking it up as that was God protecting me. That was not meant to be.
That's good. Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot, because if not, you'll beat yourself up, you'll internalize, you'll nitpick every little thing. Don't do that
Yep.
to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Again, me being the hopeless optimist as always, there's always there's always opportunity for growth, and there's always opportunity for someone new, and that'll be amazing and twinkling. And just make you feel like a little girl again, and you just feel like, hey. But there's always going to be a lid for every pot. They may not, you can't force them to fit.
That's right.
You know, if they don't fit, let them go on and be fitting for someone else.
I love that. That's good advice, it's sage advice. And I do think that there should remain a level of optimism, because if you're not careful, you will be very cynical and very jaded and very
Mm-hmm.
bitter without
Yes.
even knowing it. And so I think that that's amazing advice. Thank you, my beautiful friend,
Thank you
for
for
chopping
having
it up
me. This
with
was
me.
fun. Yay.
It was fun. Thank you. I love you much.
Love you too. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Mwah.